Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is some more unfortunate news for Texas and the trend and all the residents that are dealing with this Tren de Agua gang. Because they're just taking over apartments consistently now. It's just it's just a problem, right? And it really is quite crazy on how much they have spread out through the country and how desperate it seems to be. It is quite insane. Now, we have this here from the Daily Mail saying, Evil Super Gang seizes 4 apartment complexes in major Texas city, a new terrifying show of strength. A dangerous Venezuelan gang has taken over at least 4 apartment complexes in San Antonio, Texas, as it expands its reach in yet another American city. Dubbed the epitome of evil, Tren de Agua is known to run drug smuggling, child prostitution, and human trafficking rings in South America, with its members crossing over into the U.S. in recent years amid a wave of Venezuelan migrants. The tattoo monsters have since unleashed a wave of crime across the country, from Miami and Texas to Denver and New York. The gang's activities in the American cities are back in the spotlight after ABC News' Martha Raddatz claimed the instances of gang members' presence in apartments was limited to a handful of complexes in Aurora, Colorado. This is the problem that we have with the media, right? They go out and say, oh, it's just a handful, it's just a handful. And with that being said, it's just a handful, right? But we're seeing that it's in other actual areas. It's not just Aurora, Colorado, where it's happening at. It's happening across the country. Again, apparently, Martha Raddatz also seems to forget that it was also happening in Chicago, where apartments were being seized. So this is not just something that is random or happening in just one singular place like Aurora, Colorado. It's happening all over the place. And this is why these people, this news media outlet, are just completely evil. They don't care about the American people. They never did. I mean, the fact that you're going to go out and say that it's just a handful of apartments being taken over by a illegal gang, which, well, not illegal gang necessarily, gangs are inherently illegal, by an illegal migrant gang, it's just insanity to me, right? This is where we live in, to where, it's just illegal migrants are just taking a handful of apartments. It's not that big of a deal, Americans. Too bad your places were seized over. You're just gonna have to deal with it. It's not that big of a deal. That's just the way that they talk to us about, right? How much they do not care for the American people. It says, just last week, a small army of police officers raided an apartment complex in San Antonio and arrested 19 individuals, including 4 gang members. Law enforcement sources confirmed TD had been operating at the Palacia apartments for 5 to 6 months. Squatting in empty units they either rented out to other migrants, used as a base to deal cocaine, or most horrifically, as prostitution dens to pimp out women and children. Alright. Here we go. This is the reason why I have such a huge problem with the media and the way that they portray things that are absolutely not a big deal, right? Like, these people are selling children for other people to have, obviously, horrible, bad relationships with them. I'm not going to even explain exactly what they're doing. It doesn't take an intelligent person to put 2 and 2 together, or as prostitution, and then say pimp out women and children. I don't have to go explain that to people. But the fact of the matter is that Martha Raddatz, a Democrats are saying this is not a big deal. This is just a small problem. And it's like, you guys are probably getting tired of me saying this, but this is what they're saying. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a problem. You're just gonna have to deal with it. That's the insanity part is. And what we have here is such a problem that they're just pimping out children that sell them to child grabbers, alright? Like, I don't know what else we're gonna say. This is the most disgusting thing that I've seen. And this is not just that too, right? There is, I don't even know if I can even post the video because it is off of Tucker Carlson's thing, and this is the actual line in the sand thing that I have clipped here. But the point of the matter is that our government is also paying for this. They're allowing these illegal migrants to come through here and do this type of stuff, right? That's just what our government is doing right now. And to add insults to injury, they're also having the Homeland Security is honestly paying a lot of these organizations to house kids as like pretty much trafficking, and even putting them to do buildings to where they're known for sexually abusing children. And this is all just kind of the reality here. Like, I don't know what else to tell people. It's quite really disgusting. Maybe I should just put this up here. Here you go, guys. This is what I mean here when they're actually doing this type of stuff. Take a look.
Received over $129 million from the Department of Homeland Security, $719 million from DHS. Overall, there's the white buses right there. That's the FedEx transportation hub for the unaccompanied minor children.
We use the ICE database to input the information of the kids going from shelter to shelter, and we communicate with the TSs who actually make the trips.
What does TSs mean?
The transport specialists. They're the ones that actually go and pick up the kids and take them from shelter to shelter.
They stop the transportation of children, they stop the money.
A whistleblower inside MVM provided us an email written by the site manager stating that, quote, transportation specialists were taking the liberty of accepting alternative documents without federal field specialist approval. Alternative documents in exchange for unaccompanied children? Tara Rodas witnessed her colleagues at HHS tell her that it didn't matter that children were sent to addresses flagged for sexual abuse.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about here. This is kind of the reality onto where we just allow this thing to happen. We pay for these people to come here, and then we put them in these containers, and this is where all the trafficking begins. I would highly recommend seeing Line in the Sand. I want to know if I can actually send this stuff here, but this is kind of the reality of what's going on. Like, you guys have to see on how dark it is, and how what we are doing here in our country. And it says now, here, right here, it says, but now, Daily Mail can reveal that this apartment invasion is just the tip of the iceberg in the major southern Texas city, with at least 3 other rental properties also are occupied by the criminal organization. Goes on to say, Daily Mail is not naming the 3 other apartment complexes to avoid jeopardizing ongoing police investigations. Yes, now there are 3 other investigations that are actually going on here. So on top of the ones that they're doing, there are 3 other investigations that are ongoing. However, the locations were confirmed by law enforcement sources, and we spent days visiting the sites where we spoke to terrified residents. The rise of Tren de Agua in America. In a pre-dawn operation, hundreds of law enforcement officers closed in on the sprawling palatial apartments in the early hours of October 5th, spending weeks investigating reports that Tren de Agua had control of the area. Neighbors recounted how they awoke to the sound of helicopters, drones, and doors being kicked in at around 5 a.m. A raid department was here. They were wearing helmets and body armor, said one female resident who asked to remain anonymous. They go on to say that my husband came outside and in his boxers and had a rifle held to him. They said, "Who are you?" He said, "I live here." They asked, "Where are you from?" He said, "Pennsylvania," and that was the end of that. After searching 300 units, cops arrested 19 individuals, 4 of which have been confirmed as gang members. One DEA member is a confirmed enforcer for that gang, and 15 were in the country illegally. Mobsters who brazenly showed off gang tattoos or wore red clothing were squatting in empty units where they sold drugs or humans, he added. They had women and children and were prostituting the women and the children, said one resident. There was a lot of them, and watching all the women and children being put into a paddy wagon, I was like, today, TDA had also threatened apartment property staffers who discovered their criminal schemes. So, there we go. The gang said the children's activity was almost exactly mirrored what was happening in Aurora, Colorado, where a video of armed gang members storming an apartment made national headlines in August. Continues to say that the gang took over at least 3 apartment complexes in the Denver suburb, though lawyers for the properties alleged there were many more rentals in the gang's grip. A bombshell report by a law firm that represents one of their apartment management companies found the gang engaged in assaults of apartment staff, threats of murder, extortion, and child prostitution. Prostitution is a big moneymaker, and the thing with prostitution is that it brings guys in that they can sell dope to. Former Colorado ICE Director John Fabricatore, told Daily Mail in September. These guys come in, they meet these Johns and shake them down, see if they want to buy drugs. They've started with moving these girls through, and if you go in these apartments, you always see these young girls. It's bad. TDA is known to hide among its own law-abiding, asylum-seeking countrymen, not just to blend in, but to also exploit their own people. The mob transformed from a Venezuelan prison gang to an international criminal ring by smuggling desperate citizens out of the country as they fled communist dictator Nicolas Maduro, profiting from a legitimate humanitarian crisis. Since 2014, nearly 8 million Venezuelans have left their homeland, according to the United Nations. Many went to neighboring South American countries where TDA followed. Now, the same thing is happening in the U.S. As Daily Mail.com exclusively reported, TDA moved its new headquarters to the U.S.-Mexico border in Juarez, Mexico, where it's kidnapping asylum-seeking migrants who are attempting to enter America. In South Texas, TDA set up shop in an area of just north of San Antonio's Migrant Resource Center, a shelter run by Catholic Charities that has welcomed over 120,000 migrants since the organization started tracking numbers in 2023. So yeah, this is an ongoing thing, guys. This is a thing that's just constantly happening. So she described how nearly every single unit in the back row of her complex is now occupied by Venezuelan men who do not go to work but are still seemingly able to make rent. They also appear to be cramming people into one-room bedroom apartments, she added. At a different property, a maintenance worker said they believe TDA members are living there because he has seen Venezuelans walking around shamelessly showing off well-known Trinidad tattoos. They don't care to be discreet about who they are, the worker added. I think in their country, being a part of that group is a big deal, so maybe they feel it's a big deal here too. The maintenance worker was able to give detailed description of the well-known train tattoo associated with TDA. The worker said they have also seen men walking around with rifles and Michael Jordan branding on their skin, which are similarly well-known TDA markings. At the fourth property suspected of being TDA run, no one dared speak about the gang and its presence in San Antonio and simply closed the door or ignored questions. However, one man wearing red appeared to be acting as a lookout and spotted the Daily Mail team in the area. He was seen darting in and out of several buildings as he seemingly passed along enforcement via cell phone. Later, a different man approached Daily Mail as we waiting in a car, taking pictures of our license plates. We assure our committee and members of the public that are committed to their safety, and we are on top of this CDA issue. Yeah, so again, guys, these are things that are happening here in our country, and the media just don't want to say anything about it, right? They don't want to say anything about what's going on in our own country, how bad it is, and these are just all bloody terrible. They're all awful. And, of course, the left, the very far left, are going to say, this is not a big deal, this isn't happening. Oh, this happens, or their excuses, oh, this just happens everywhere. Well, it shouldn't be happening in our country. It should be limited to down to nothing. And your guys' excuses is to just say, oh, it just happens everywhere. Oh, it's just a small amount. Get out of here. This is the reason why the Democratic Party is evil. This is the reason why this needs to stop. And it's just abhorrent the way that we're treating this as like a non-issue. And the only people that are actually wanting to fix this issue, the only man that is wanting to solve these problems and make people's lives better is Donald Trump. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.